Coming to you live from the Hellmouth Adjacent. It's the Popular Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host, Payne.
I'm Bill.
And welcome to the new year and episode 80. ¿Qué pasa, señor?
Sup? What's up?
What's up? You remember that commercial back in the time? What was it? Was it Budweiser where they were doing that? What's up? What's up?
I don't remember what it was for, but yeah, because it wasn't it just in Ant-Man and Wasp when they took off on that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
What's his name? The sidekick guy.
I don't know the sidekick's guy name.
You know, the one that always tells the stories.
Michael Pena?
Yeah, what's his character's name?
I don't know his character's name. I don't know anybody who would know the sidekick's character's name in a movie called Ant-Man and Wasp. Who would know that?
You just wanted to throw that out there. Any excuse to slap me in the face.
As if everybody else is like, oh yeah, that's Oscar Schindler. Nobody's not going to know who that is.
So he pulls up to the van and he's like, "What's up?" And they're like, "What?" Remember that scene?
Yeah, I do remember that. I don't. Is that a takeoff of that?
It is.
Okay. Well, that's only going to be for the old people who remember those commercials. I think.
Who do you think listens to this show? It's the old people. It's the old people podcast.
We're not pulling in millennials.
I don't know if we are. I kind of doubt it.
Okay. How's your weekend going so far?
So far, so good. Not at work, so always a plus.
Okay, that's a plus. Did you watch any good shows this weekend?
We watch good shows? What did we watch last night?
Oh, did you watch the final episode of Iron Fist? No,
we didn't. We were a little tired last night, so we cut it short after we did RuPaul and Gotham. So tonight we're gonna do Iron Fist.
Okay. I ended up watching that Battle Royale movie starring
Hemsworth
and a few other actors, Jennifer Hudson and a few others. It was terrible, absolutely terrible. I think it's the meeting at the Hotel El Royale or whatever else. The movie's 2 hours and 21 minutes. Not good at all. Not good. I think half of it is like singing, and
well, then you're out already automatically.
Oh, well, I don't mean like singing like a musical, but it seems like they're trying to create some sort of like mood, and then they're having like Jennifer Hudson sing, some old timey song for like 3 minutes, but it goes 2 minutes too long. Where you're just like, well, let's move on. I got it. It's pacing. A lot of pacing issues.
How long was it?
2 hours and 21 minutes. Ooh. But I put it on double speed towards the middle of it.
So, is that more appealing to you than? Does this seem more legitimate to you than just fast forwarding?
Well, when I hit double speed, I think we're putting into the category of you're about to get ejected. But I might want to see possibly there might be something that might interest me.
But so when you're on double speed, though, you can't hear the characters talk, can you?
Oh yeah. Would you like a hotel room? Here's the key to your hotel room. There you go. There's a bed. Would you like? Yeah, you get it.
Really? Okay.
Now, granted, there was a few scenes where I couldn't understand what they were saying because everything was happening so quickly. But by that time, I didn't care. And you're just getting close to being ejected. I watched 2 movies at double speed. Yeah.
And what was the other one?
It was The Oath with Tiffany Haddish, and I can't remember the other actor's name. Some other comedic guy. So what I have at home is The Captain. It's a foreign subtitled film, and I have to watch White Boy Rick. That's still in the queue. But this week should be arriving Halloween and Mission Impossible, the last one.
I'm surprised that you haven't seen that yet. It's just out, or it's just in your queue?
It's in my queue, but it's still not available because everybody's probably renting it and watching it.
Okay.
I know what you believe, that Netflix should have like 5 million DVDs, so nobody could ever have to wait for it.
For your $19 a month or whatever you're paying for it, you're right. I do think that.
So, True Detective season 3 drops tonight. That comes out. I will, because season 2 was a disaster for me, and season 1 was very intriguing. I'm kind of curious. I kind of like this old. They got this whole like little '70s style vibe going on.
So
You
wait, are you watching it in real time then, or are you going to watch it like after it airs?
I don't know if I'll watch it in real time. It'll depend on, maybe I'm going to see if Chris might be interested in watching. Um, See if my woman's interested in trying to check it out or not. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I got to depend. You got to be very careful picking out the shows, as you know.
Right.
Um, what else here? You want to get into some of this news a little bit. We have a topic. You want to just get into our topic and then we'll circle back to some of the smaller news?
No, I think we should probably. I'd rather do the news first and then get to the topic at the end.
Okay, all right. Well,
That
I
works
hear
for me.
that the Black Widow movie is Disney of all people's kicking around the idea of making it a rated R movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Disney has had divisions before, like Touchstone Pictures and Buena Vista Entertainment, that usually did like their more mature theme stuff. So, I mean, it's not unheard of for them to go into that territory. It's, surprising that it's an MCU movie and it's rated R, because I've heard statements before in which the people higher up at Marvel Studios have said, we're not interested in doing rated R Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So I don't know. I would take this with a grain of salt until more
I, I don't
firm
even
stuff comes
understand the.
across.
I don't get it, and it doesn't seem to be appropriate for the universe that they're building. Now, I of all people would prefer my movies to be hardcore, obviously. Where I kind of lean towards, but rated R. I mean, for Black Widow, what's the point of that? You can somehow still make the movie hardcore and enjoyable and still avoid the rated R tag.
Right, and
I
if
don't.
they were going the rated R route, then why are we hastening the death of certain rated R type material like the Netflix shows? I mean, I thought the whole idea was that they're not happy with the way those shows, those heroes are presented, because they're a little too hardcore. So I'm confused about it all, and I think it's kind of bullshit until we get more information. I'm not believing it.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about it is they're pulling in so much money, and as with all things with a rated R movie, you're kind of almost cutting out a segment of the audience potentially.
Right.
It
And
would
do
seem
they
like
they don't really need the street cred at this point either. So
no, they don't. That's why it's a weird even thing to even kick around. It's almost somehow saying that if we do a Black Widow movie, we have to give it something that separates it because she doesn't really have any superpowers. Am I correct?
no, I mean she's got some like
Right. So maybe they have to kind
batons or
of
something.
separate it that makes her more edgy. You think that's the case?
Yeah, maybe. Again, I just don't think, like you said, it fits in with their worldview of their universe. So I call bullshit on this until further confirmation comes through. That's my opinion.
Okay. I have to make a comment. We're gonna roll through some of these subjects here. I know I've discussed this with you, but I'm still mad about it. Um, Obviously, there's a movie called Out with the Upside, starring what's his name, Kevin Hart, and who's the guy from Breaking Bad? Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much. Anyway, it's a remake of a movie, a foreign film called The Untouchables. It's based on a true story regarding a guy that's essentially paralyzed. He's like a billionaire, and he ends up taking on a guy who's like from the other side of the tracks, who comes from like a pot to piss in and whatever else. But they form some sort of bond, and they become like great friends, and each challenging the other. And when I saw The Untouchables, which was on Netflix, it was an amazing film with actors I did not know, but it was very real, and it was a good drama, and it wasn't designed to be a joke, even though the standard thing is, you've got these two people from different worlds. And now, as with anything we do, we copy it, but instead of actually trying to keep the same flavor, which before I digress into A Girl with the Dragon 2, they sanitize it American style, and we find somebody like Kevin Hart or some other actor, and then they make this a trope and cliche. Now I know what you're going to say that I haven't seen the movie, but for anybody that would see the upside, I know they would sit there and go like this, "Oh, this story looks like heartwarming and a lot of fun." The Untouchables is all of that, but done 10 times better
How do you know?
because when I haven't watched it, which is obviously the question, but the trailer has all the same things where you have Kevin Hart just acting like a step and fetch it, essentially making all these general like, I've never had caviar before. We don't have caviar in the ghetto. They see it's just like, oh, it's just so stupid. It boils it down to being like, yes, we eat with silverware, Kevin Hart. And he's like, wow. And, it's all just what
Oh,
makes the movie, the reason why they're remaking it, what makes the story so great is because it was taking it in a different tone. And this tone here, we just made it it's just a comedy fest. Um, you
once again,
know,
you're jumping to conclusions about
I'm
something you
jumping to a
don't really
conclusion.
surely know.
Now, Rotten Tomatoes has given this movie 30%. I am not putting my ring. I'm not marking out Rotten Tomatoes as any type of bastion of like if Rotten Tomatoes says it, then it must be true. But it looks like crap, and I'm glad it's being reviewed as crap because nobody should be watching this movie. They should be watching The Untouchables first. Now, when they did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the trilogy, the foreign version, all those movies were wonderful in my opinion. And then we had Fincher do the remake, and the remake was just as good as the foreign ones. It did it in a different way, but the story was still the same, and it was just a different flavor, but it still held true in both versions. They're, I,
But
they're
apparently,
both
the
great.
Americans weren't going for it because it didn't make any money.
No, no, no. It's just sad. What it says to me is you couldn't release, in my opinion, probably more times than not, you couldn't release the Untouchables over here because it's rare anymore that anybody wants to go sit and see a slow ass drama. We do not have the attention span anymore, Bill. We don't. You get those rare films to where all of a sudden people are like, oh, you have to go see it. But it's rare. But nobody wants to go see a slow drama anymore. Unless you have some sort of Kevin Hart or some other comedic aspect or something else. It's just rare and it's sad.
I look
There's no
forward to the day, the show 6 months from now, when we watch, when you're like, I put that in my queue and I watched it and I found it enjoyable. I'm going to be like, oh, remember when you said how horrible it was going to be? Just saying.
Well, I'm not going to put it in my queue. How about that?
Oh, right. No one believes that either.
Put it in my queue. The upside with Kevin Hart. I mean, the whole thing with him making you not see the jokes as just being so weak sauce. The
I
fish
honestly
out of
haven't,
water
to be
jocks.
honest with you, I haven't not, I fast forward through the trailer. I've never actually seen the trailer, like watched it.
Okay.
Except for
So
maybe when we were in the theater and maybe it came across once. Maybe, I don't know. I just didn't really pay that much attention. Maybe.
okay. All right. What else do we have? Your boy Pixar, John Lasseter, has a new job.
Yeah,
So
for an animation studio of all places. So, Skydance Animation. Have you heard of this company?
I have not. Oh, what has Skydance done? I meant to look that up later. So go ahead.
Anyway,
He apparently he
kind of
took off
shocking.
he took off about a year from Disney, and I think he was quoted as saying he spent last year away from the industry in deep reflection,
Deep reflection,
learning
right?
how my actions unintentionally made colleagues uncomfortable, which I deeply regret and apologize for. It has been humbling, but I will make me a better leader. I think arguably like he was accused of unwanted touching.
Right. It was like an
Um,
inside joke where you don't sit next to Kevin Lasseter or John Lasseter because he will.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Um,
So are you comfortable with it here? Because obviously there's certain groups out there because there's certain groups for everything. I'm sure there's a anti-group against PCP and what some of the stuff they say out there, or whatever else.
um,
Time's up for PCP. but they were
You know
co-men.
how
Is
I'm not
there any
politically correct on this
consequences
issue.
for these men? Is this enough time off for the industry for him to be giving such a high-profile job in another company?
They said they consulted with Times Up before they hired him about I don't know what. Like, did they say is it okay if we hire him or what? But they said they had talks with them over it. So I guess if Times Up is okay with it, then and Me Too's okay with it, then who am I to sit and judge?
How does that even work? Like, who's in charge of Time's Up? Like, who's the who are
I
the
don't know.
people that
Some
and
very serious women who aren't fucking around anymore. I guess.
so
So
so do you call them up on the phone and be like, listen, we've got the okay from Skydance that says we can now like hire this guy, so it's all good, right? Because Skydance is like John Lasseter is off our list now. He's paid his penance. Like who's
yeah, I don't know, but you know what? I do think it's positive for some of these people. You just how depending upon how awful the behavior is, what do you do? Just throw them away, or is it possible that these people can be rehabilitated back into the workplace society? I'm glad that he's getting a second chance. Everybody deserves one, is my opinion.
okay? All right. So a year is enough time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't on the receiving end of his lascivious behavior, so I don't know exactly how bad it was. But if it's as described in the trades that we've read, stories after stories about, then yeah, I think this is probably one of the weaker sauces of the man versus woman issue going on right now.
My goal now after this show is to look up Times Up to find out who's on their board and what women are running the operation and what do they actually do and do they have any type of funding.
Okay. I think it's a coalition of like women in Hollywood, actresses and directors and producers, and
Who's the leader? Do we know who the leader is?
I do not know.
All right, so Skydance Media, these are some of the films. Um,
Have you ever heard of any of these?
oh, absolutely.
Have you seen some of these?
Now, I'm not going into Skydance animation. I'll
Okay.
pull that up right now, but for Skydance Media, they have done things like True Grit, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, The Guilt Trip, Jack Reacher, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Star Trek Into Darkness, World War Z, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, Terminator Genesis, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Star Trek Beyond, Baywatch, Life, Geostorm, Annihilation, and Mission Impossible Fallout.
You named about 2 hits on that list.
2 hits.
The Mission
I
Impossible movies. Geostorm made like 2 cents.
okay. World War Z. They're doing a World War Z too.
Yeah. How long has that been in development?
Wow,
World War Z came out like 7 years ago.
you're kind of harsh on them a little bit, don't
I'm
you?
not. I'm just saying. I don't know if I consider them to be a major player in Hollywood. I don't think that any of these movies are major, big. I mean, the Mission Impossible movies is about the most popular stuff you mentioned on that list. And I think their animation division is just
It's just
now
starting up.
starting up.
So we don't know what we're gonna get, but they hired a big dog. So they released
Well,
one of the big
he's probably the
fishes.
biggest dog in animation. So yeah.
So when is Leslie? What is his name? Leslie Munez get? When does he get rehired then? What's the time?
I don't know. I maybe a year, maybe less than a year, maybe I don't know. I wasn't on the receiving end of his behavior, so I don't know how bad it actually was.
Yeah, yeah. These things they're very sticky. These things are very sticky. So
I'm glad John Lasseter. John Lasseter is like the Kevin Feige of animation, so I'm glad he's
what
still going to be around.
what is he? Is he above the law? At what point does he become Kevin Spacey to you? I understand that he gives you the greatest hits, but what if he's out there doing Kevin Spacey behavior? Are you saying
Again,
we've
even
we've got to look past that?
With Kevin Spacey, I don't know necessarily that he needs to be drummed out of Hollywood either. I don't think unless it's some kind of like situation in which there's like somebody's being forcibly, you know, held against their will with like ropes and chains or something, and it's a child who can't isn't the age of a consenting person, then I don't know how much I buy
I
into
got
this
you.
whole.
So you're going with kidnapping and murder. Then is really the limits for you.
Well, rape is a horrible crime too, but I think there's a definition in there that I'm not sure that this always equals the same thing. I've never been raped, so I should probably keep my mouth shut about shit I don't necessarily know.
All right, here's another thing that popped up. I don't know if this has any bearing on what we do on this show here, Bill, but in terms of the five highest paid TV hosts, do you know who number one is?
Judge Judy?
Yeah, she normally rakes in about $47 million a year.
Hmm.
It's a lot of cheddar for her.
Yeah.
Number two is Ellen DeGeneres. Number three, Dr. Phil, Ryan Seacrest, and then rounding out the top five, Steve Harvey.
Where's that guy from The Price is Right? He's not up there?
Oh, Drew Carey? Well,
Yeah,
this was only doing the top five.
yeah. Okay, well, I guess The Price is Right isn't in the top five then.
I would think
Pat
that.
Sajak and Vanna White aren't up there? Really? I find that interesting.
I just find it interesting that Judge Judy somehow has turned this. I mean, if Judge
It's the
Wapner was
most
around
popular
today,
show in syndication, Judge Judy. It's a massive hit for television in general.
wow, where was? I mean, her show is. Does she owe some thanks to Judge Wapner and People's Court?
No, I think maybe she took whatever opportunities that was presented to her and ran with it. It's Judge Judy's personality that makes the show popular, not just because it's a court show.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Oh, interesting. So The Grinch is also now the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time. How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Really? Huh. I would not have thought that.
What would you have thought it would have been?
Less than that. I mean, it's the third retelling of this story that we've had in the last, couple of decades. I don't know. I mean, for me, it was like, I don't know if I need to see a third version of the Grinch. I like the first two well enough. I don't know if I need another version. So that's what kept me away.
You know what? I like the Grinch memes with Jim Carrey, where he's like, load, load, hate, 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 double hate.
No, I can't imagine why you like that. Um, yeah, I like that story too. I didn't like it at first, but it sort of grew on me over the years.
I think it's growing on me as well. So,
But do we necessarily need to see another version of it? I don't know. It did not make me rush to the theater. That's what happened there.
okay. Well, yeah. I mean, all right. What else do we have going on?
Um, as
Let
far
me
as
see.
news goes, I'm gonna bring it up anyway, even though you don't want to really talk about it. I'm excited about it, so it counts. The Spider-Man Far From Home trailer is coming out on Tuesday. What?
That does
So I'm
not count.
excited for that.
That does not count.
It counts.
By the time people download our podcast, they're going to be sitting there going, "I've downloaded this like several days ago, and they said Tuesday, and it's going to be like last week." They're not going to know.
That's
That's
okay.
fine.
We know.
That's fine. That's fine.
Apparently, Doctor Doom and Gambit are completely kaput now that Fox is going, be part of Disney. Those
So wait a second. Now, after all this time, Gambit, what's his name? I've been railing on this since we started the show. I want to go back and see what episodes because I think
probably episode 1. Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. I mean, it seems like a couple of years ago, I was sitting here going, Channing Tatum, as I would go on rants and raves about how
Yes.
this is like poor casting. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger casting. I don't want to see Channing Tatum as Gambit. I'd rather just see somebody else playing Gambit and not Channing Tatum playing
Well, it
Gambit.
looks like you got your wish.
It's been like years they've been kicking this around.
Yeah.
So we're not getting a Doctor Doom movie. They were going to do a Doctor
They
Doom
were going to
movie?
do a Doctor Doom movie, yes. And now Oh, and X Force apparently also has been canceled, although that's
Okay,
not
so
official.
as the French would say, pourquoi?
Does that mean what for?
Why?
Because Fox is now part of Disney, and Disney is going to be making, some changes, and some projects that were probably going to be gone greenlit as Fox movies don't fit into the Disney plan. So
Well, hallelujah on that one then. Okay, this is good. I'm glad that Daddy's home and they are righting the ship here. Now, the only thing that could go worse is, hey, we're gonna do Gambit our way, but we're still interested in bringing Channing Tatum in. Then I might go back on it, but right now that's good. That's good.
well, I mean, they've got a big task ahead of them anyway, trying to incorporate the X-Men and the Fantastic Four into the already enormously huge MCU. Although they've just cleaned house a little bit with Infinity War, they're still going to have a lot of characters to get in there into that, introduced into their universe. So
This is a massive, massive undertaking that they have,
yeah.
especially if they're trying to put everything. Well, I don't even know if they're really trying to put it.
Well, think about it.
Will they?
X-Men
Will they
itself, just the X-Men alone, have made like 9 movies just on the X-Men. So incorporating the X-Men into the larger MCU, has a massive potential for box office, you know, draw.
My question is, are they going to be trying to? Are they going to keep? You're talking about incorporating, so you're not talking about separate worlds. Then you're not thinking.
No, it's part of the MCU. The issue is, are they going to recast all of these characters? And the answer is probably yes.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But how do they introduce them when you've already have this world established? What are the mutants
Where
hiding out? Why?
maybe
Why
they're
Ultron is doing their stuff? Wolverine's hiding out somewhere in like Fresno, not doing
maybe they're
anything.
going to do a multiverse issue now that they've introduced the
Storm's in
quantum
Africa,
realm.
but she knows nothing about Wakanda, but she's just making rain. What's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe they're going to do some kind of alternate universe, multiverse. Maybe they're going to be in the quantum realm somewhere, trapped or living in a world that they don't know anything about our world. I don't know. That's up to Kevin Feige. I don't envy him for that job for this issue.
Okay. It's a massive undertaking because there is a million characters in a million different stories you could tell or retell. It's
Not to
it's
mention, that's just the X-Men. Then you have the Fantastic Four and all the characters that come with that, the Silver Surfer, Galactus, all of these characters that were in Fox's world now can be inhabited in the MCU.
right. So you have to wonder how you dole them out. You don't want to just throw everything out there all at once. You want to just almost kind of slow roll it because you have so many. You could tell stories for the next 3 decades if you do it right.
Yeah, but the X-Men is a team. Do you really want the X-Men introduced the way they introduced the Avengers, one by one by one by one by one, and then we get the X-Men movie?
Well, no,
That will
because
take years.
I don't really want to start off with a storm. Like, you can almost, you can tell some of these stories in like 5, 10 minutes and move on and have them team up. I don't necessarily want that. But like what they did with Brian Singer with X-Men, that'll be the whole certain characters are already established, and there will be the one character whose story will follow from the beginning who comes into the team. The one that's like, I don't want to be a part of this, and everybody else is already established. Um, it'll be fairly interesting where they do because Brian Singer's already told some of these stories and told them well.
Right, but there's probably thousands of stories that they haven't
Well,
touched
no,
upon.
thousands of stories, but introducing them to the MCU. You know what I mean? Like, how do you
Right.
introduce them to the MCU?
And also do it in a way that seems fresh
Fresh. Yeah.
and not retelling a story that's been told because they're already doing Last Stand twice with Dark Phoenix. And like it or not, that movie exists. It's not going to not be released. It's not going to not come out. And it's not going to be out for another 6 months. So that's going to be the final taste of the X-Men that is going to be in people's mouths before they reboot it. Positive or negative, it's going to be the final word, the nail in the coffin of the cinematic version of the Fox X-Men.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's going to be a negative. That's going to be a negative indeed. Indeed. Not for you probably, because you like what's her name from Game of Thrones as Phoenix.
I like all of them really. I like James McAvoy a lot. I love Michael Fassbender. I think they're all good.
Well, this is interesting though. I'm glad they're canceling because there's no reason that Gambit needed a solo movie. So, you know,
People could say that about Venom too, and now look where we are.
yeah. Well, I think there's a difference between Tom Hardy and Channing Tatum.
Really? I don't know if there's much, but okay.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I think Tom Hardy's an okay actor, but I think Channing Tatum's an okay actor too.
Well, I think that more Channing Tatum is more of like eye candy and more popular, and Tom Hardy still has a way of floating under the radar. So Tom Hardy
Okay.
doesn't necessarily overwhelm the role as Venom. You know, Tom Hardy can play all sorts of bit parts. You know, Channing Tatum. I mean, they were to me they were going to just sell it with Channing Tatum walking around being like, "I'm Channing Tatum and I'm smooth." Melissa, Superfan Melissa knows my rant on this here.
I know. But again, here you are judging. There hasn't been a script page one. There hasn't been a trailer. There has barely been any casting. You don't know jack shit about what they were doing about that movie. And you're like, oh, I think it's just going to be god awful. Well,
Source,
okay.
sources connected to PCP have told me as such.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
So what's Todd McFarlane doing? He's got his Spawn movie coming out. Is he making his $10 million movie? I heard he said it's going to be like viscerally brutal. It's going to be, you
Something
can't go.
along the lines of like depressing, sad, and all these words that don't make me really want to see it.
Is he going to do the Bird Box thing where we actually don't see Spawn, but just see a bunch of leaves circling around and going? He goes, "Spawn is here,"
It
and it's
sounds
just
like it. It sounds like, he's got $10 million, so that's not really a whole lot for effects budget. And then, he said he doesn't want to do a movie where there's, a lot of effects anyway. Not that he has a choice, because with $10 million, good luck. But I don't know. I mean, Glass only cost 20. We'll see what that makes next weekend.
Glass only cost $20 million.
Yep.
$20 million.
That's right.
How do you feel
Well,
about that?
I've read articles about it.
I said, how do you feel about it?
How do I feel about it?
I mean, obviously, you, based on our prior conversations and people on the show, I've heard you. Would you have preferred it to be like 80 million? Because then at that point, you would know there'd be like some extra superhuman effects, cars being thrown up to the moon and flying and shit like that. Now that it's not 80 million, there's not going to be a lot of that.
I'm going to reserve my feelings until I've seen the movie. That's where I'm kind of at right now. I'm just going to wait and see. And if it seems like they could have done more with more than 20 million, I'll say so after we see it.
Okay. You can't go. Is Bloomhouse behind this production?
It is.
You can't go wrong with 20 million, man. Oh man, it's you can't go wrong. I'm sorry. That
When
price
you say
point
you
is-
can't go wrong, you mean it can't be a failure because it's
it-
cost so little?
yeah, I don't see it being a failure at all, especially after you had Split do so well,
Right.
and you didn't have the connection to any other type of universe. So you had the people who actually went out and saw Split, who just wanted to see it either because of M. Night or it looked good or interesting to them. They went out to see some guy with a split personality, only with the connection of being it was M. Night. And it made 138 million. I'm sorry, domestically 138 million, but worldwide it made 278 million dollars. Just on that. Now all of a sudden you add to the fact that it's a bigger universe and bringing back in other characters, and you want to see this one character. It's got to at least do that, if not more.
Well, the problem is, as we know,
It seems like if I,
the
it seems like
critical response so far has not been overwhelmingly positive.
so the critics of what's been going on. We've got Glass opening this weekend. Bill's coming up to the Hellmouth adjacent. That's okay because his husband is at home, so nobody needs to go over there and rob his house. They have security there.
Because they all know where I live. The word of mouth has not been positive. I mean, I'm trying not to sound too negative about it, but it's got a 37 or 36% freshness rating on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And people have been rather harsh. Now, I have read some Twitter reviews that I have bookmarked on my phone just because sometimes when you hear all this bad news, you get a little down about it and you start feeling a little negative. But there are people, including Alex Billington from firstshowing.net, who are praising the movie highly. So it's not across the board negative. And, I try not to read reviews anyway because I don't like them in general. And usually when people zig, I tend to zag. Here's here's what
So you
keeps
found a
me
couple people who are like, "Don't worry, the sky is not falling."
right. And the other thing is, I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan movies that other people don't generally like anyway. So for me, some of his best work is done in Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, these types of movies that even After Earth that people weren't really down with are some of my favorite M. Night movies. So I have a feeling I will like it. If there's enough M. Night isms in it for me, then I won't have a problem with it. So I'm just sad that the Shyamalanizance that was starting to build with The Visit and then with Split, and people were coming back around to his way of thinking and his filmmaking was coming back into fashion. I feel like maybe this has been a little bit of a damper on that, and that sort of bothers me. But as far as the movie goes, I'm in a wait and see mode, and I believe I will like it.
Okay. Um, I this movie, this trailer, I am so locked and loaded for the film, and I haven't seen or read any reviews, but I did see headings about it at the low ratings. Um, I'm not sure. I think, as you said, that some of the people's expectations were higher, where maybe they might be expecting more of a Hulk Avengers type of ending, and this one might be more cerebral, and more methodical and plotting and more psychological than what people might expect. Wherever he takes it, I think I'm good, so I can't lose on this one. The only way it could probably be ruined if it's somehow the ending, which apparently there is a twist ending of some sort out there, is if, maybe it's a dream sequence or something. I don't know. But otherwise, I have high hopes. I
So we're
mean,
both down despite the sort of negative
oh yeah,
tone to the
yeah,
whole thing.
that hasn't affected me. That hasn't. I am immune from the criticisms because it's probably one of the best trailers I've seen in the past couple years. So in terms of getting me all the characters, I'm excited. I like Samuel Jackson, the plots. It's so rich, and especially this is a story that's been built up over years, unbeknownst to you. It's like kind of like a universe being formed when you didn't think one was. There's certain now studios can't help to announce a universe coming out. You're like, we've got to do Dark Universe, and then the first one fails. At least with this one here, you're just like, this is just a nice surprise. You know, let's
Right,
not
it's the
say anything and
conclusion.
see what happens, and if it catches fire, and then next thing you know, you do another one, and then boom, all of a sudden you're in a universe, and you didn't think you were, and it's given somebody I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
my apprehension or my adjustment in thinking has to come with realizing it after rewatching Unbreakable, realizing that it's not, your memories sometimes play tricks on you when you watch a movie and then you don't watch it for a long time. You just generally remember the feeling that movie gave you, not necessarily all of the beats and things that happened in that movie. So when I went back and watched Unbreakable this week in preparation for Glass coming up, I realized that a lot of the stuff that I had built in my head about there being a lot of action in it really isn't actually true. I mean, there's a lot of talking and there's a lot of examining and there's a lot of origin story to the movie and there are some action scenes, but they're very few and far between. In fact, there's only like really one big action set piece in all of Unbreakable. But the feeling that it left me with is still there. And after watching it again, I still feel the same way about the movie, is that, I love this movie. I love these characters. I just sort of had this impression in my head from watching the Glass trailer that it was going to be like you said, like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie in which all of these characters collide and there can't help but be these massive action set pieces. And to be true to the Unbreakable story, I don't think that's going to happen, but that's an adjustment that I had to realize and get back into my head upon rewatching the movie, and then reading some of the reactions is like, that's where I had to go with it.
Okay.
To take myself down from sort of the expectation that I sort of built up over this last 2 years since Split.
Oh, I'm very excited for Friday.
Yeah, me too.
I hope I have a good work week so then I can fully relax and enjoy the film.
Oh, that reminds me. I should probably ask you about this. Movie starts at 6, so can you get off of work a little early on Friday?
Why?
Well, because I'll probably be at your house at like 4.
Yes, yeah. I
Okay.
told my boss. My boss was trying to get me to go out for drinks afterwards, and I was like this. No, my friend is coming now. We have to go to the movie.
I don't know why you have to say it like that.
She's like, "You're lying." I'm like, "No, I'm not lying. We really go see these movies." Like, ugh, whatever.
Wow.
We don't need your type at the bar.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
So
So
that'll work for you then. So I won't be pounding on your door going,
no.
"Hello." And I'll cause the dogs to have.
You don't want to pound on the doors around here. You might get shot. It's such a different time nowadays. I don't even know anymore if you can really knock on people's doors as much. Like, you might get shot knocking on
I wouldn't
doors.
open my door for somebody knocking on my door. Would you?
Well, I wouldn't open my door, but some people like answer the door with guns now. They don't, if you're just like, I'm selling newspaper or selling vacuums or encyclopedias, you might get shot.
Collecting for UNICEF.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't know who you are. What are you doing around here? No solicitors. I don't know.
I'll do you like they did last night on, was it Live PD I was watching? That guy was like, "Get out of my yard, to copper! Get out of here! Get off my property!" Oh, okay.
What did they do?
I think the cops left. They weren't really looking to. I don't think they had a warrant, so they weren't really trying to bust down the door.
We'll be back with a warrant, sir. Oh,
Right.
yeah. Come back with your warrant. I'll have a warrant of my own. Okay.
I'm so embarrassed, but Live PD is addictive to me. I don't know why it is, but it's like, it's addictive. It's because it's no think TV. It's TV where you just flip it on and you can just leave it on in the background and play on your phone or your tablet or what have you. And, it just kind of like lulls you into like sleep. It's just like mindless television.
Yeah. Luckily,
that guy's got meth. They're going to get that guy on some meth charges.
You have some sort of critical thinking skills, so it's okay for you sometimes to watch mindless television. Otherwise, but there's some people that are watching this, and I fear for them. Fear for this. But I watched Live PD. I think Chris and I were someplace, and we were like watching like 20 episodes of that thing. That when it was.
You don't feel any shame about watching it?
Oh no, there's no shame in it.
Okay.
Part of it is I'm watching it. I see different. I look for different things. Sometimes there's the aspect of where you feel like, okay, these people are just trouble, and and they don't know how to communicate, and it's bad. And then there's the other aspect of the police. Some of the officers are always into mom mode and lecturing. Sir, doing drugs is bad. You should not be doing drugs, sir. It'll ruin your life. And you're just like, I know, officer, I shouldn't be doing drugs. You're just like, oh God, okay, Dr. Phil, you're not going to solve this issue with the lecture.
Okay. Well, I don't know. They had this one guy on there that was like sitting in a car, and they pulled up to the car because it didn't have a license plate on it.
Okay.
And they like went into the car. They knocked on the window of the car, and he wouldn't open the window. Finally, opened the window because they'll bust the window if you don't open it. Just so you know. Anyway, so the guy was just sitting in his car, like plugging in his phone in, and like I guess they smelled weed or something, so they made him get out of the car. Anyway, they ended up finding all these pills in the car, and they were like testing it for like meth. And it's like, what? He was just going out to the car to charge up his phone or something. And this is what his Saturday night turned into. Of course, maybe he shouldn't have had the meth, I'm just saying. Talk about an evening going wrong. Fuck. I mean, really.
Oh, all right. So there's going to be a Coming to America 2. It's going to be.
Why? Why?
I
That
like
movie's like 30 years old.
I like Coming to America. Eddie
It's
Murphy
30
just
years old.
had another kid. He's got like 12 kids, so he's probably got to pay for those. What do you think he's? The man's trying to make a paycheck. Is that okay? Can he do Coming to
It's
America too?
fine. I just don't know why these things are going to be considered to be popular. Is Coming to America a popular movie still? Do these kids even know what Coming to America is?
Well, I doubt that they do. I mean, we
So
know
then,
what
who are
Coming
they
to.
doing this? Are they doing this to the fans of the originals then? Because those people are old now.
Well, they're bringing back Eddie Murphy into it, so obviously it has to be connected to the first Coming to America.
I guess I don't know. It seems like an odd choice for a sequel. Why don't they do like Gone with the Wind 2 while you're at it?
Do you think they can get away with Gone in the Wind too now?
No, I don't, and I don't think they're going to get away with Coming to America 2 either. But hey, that's just me.
Apparently, it's being directed by Craig Brewer, who has done Hustle and Flow and the Footloose remake. And apparently, Eddie Murphy just started a new movie with him called Dolomite Is My Name.
That's a black exploitation thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know where that's headed. Maybe it's headed to Hulu or Amazon Prime. Let me. I'm sorry for the fans out there. I have to do my rant. Eddie Murphy was doing a lot of interesting movies and fun movies I had. He was in that Will Smith phase for me, or that Bruce Willis phase where he's doing like the Beverly Hills Cop movies. He's doing Trading Places. He's doing Coming to America. He was real funny. But after he started doing all those movies, as with anything, you sort of reach a level to where you're trying to change your game. And then he started doing movies like Distinguished Gentleman and Harlem Nights, where he was trying to be all smooth and be like a leading man type of thing. He was going with I'm the handsome guy, leading role, Boomerang. I couldn't stand him after those roles. It ruined it for me. All the charm and wit that he had, you know.
So you think it ruined it because you think he sold out?
No, it's not sold out. It's just that his roles were more of a, I don't want to say like common man, but he was easier. How do I say this? He became more stuck up with his roles,
Okay.
and I just didn't really care for the characters that he's doing because the Boomerang character, the Distinguished Gentleman character, the Harlem Nights, they were all the same guy. They were the guy wearing the suit, trying to be the smooth, like I can pick up chicks because I'm so smooth guy. Oh, it was just so boring. Not interesting. And that's when that's if you notice, that's when those movies did not do well, if you ask me.
So
Anyway,
what makes you think after not having a box office hit in 25 years? What's Eddie Murphy's last box office hit? Beverly Hills Cop 3?
wow,
Am I missing something?
didn't the clumps, wasn't that a good thing for him?
The Clumps.
Yeah, was
I
it
don't
Nutty
think.
Professor?
Oh, okay. And wasn't that like in the early 90s?
Okay.
So it's been about 20 years since Eddie Murphy had a hit of any kind, or has been in any movies of any kind. He
Okay.
might be a little rusty, I guess, is all I'm saying.
I'm sorry, do you count the Shrek movies?
Not really, but I mean, I guess his bank counted him when the checks cashed, so I guess you have to
So,
count him.
Coming to America came out in 1988.
So
So,
30 years.
so when they come out with is Coming to America 2, do you think that would hit the box office, or is that going to be something that's released on like Netflix then?
If they're smart, they'll put it on Netflix. It's a sequel to a movie that's 30 years old. I don't.
Okay,
I think it's
I know
weird.
this is not really part of what we're talking about today, but I'm going to go over this here. He started off with 48 Hours, Trading Places, then he did Beverly Hills Cop, which made $234 million, Bill.
Mhm.
He did The Golden Child next, that it made $80 million, and then he did Beverly Hills Cop 2, which pulled in 153. Now you know Payne's rule, right?
Right.
Okay, that train's going in a negative direction. Technically, Beverly Hills Cop 2 should have made more than Beverly Hills Cop 1. It did not, so that should be a warning sign to you that the next movie might not be received well. Beverly Hills Cop 3 made $42 million. All right,
Why
so
there's no
now,
Beverly Hills Cop 4?
so when he started doing these movies, he then did Coming to America after Beverly Hills Cop 2, which made 128 million bucks. Now this is all in the early 80s or 90s, so this is still considered good money. Am I wrong?
Uh, yeah, it is.
Relatively speaking. Okay, so then he did Harlem Nights. Here we go. I'm doing smooth Eddie Murphy. Harlem Nights, 60 million. Then he did Boomerang, 70 million in 92. Then the Distinguished Gentleman the same year, $46 million. Then he did Vampire in Brooklyn, which made $19 million. Do we not see the pattern here?
Yeah, and so did the people that were hiring Eddie Murphy for movies, which is why he got stopped getting hired.
Yeah. So when he started to do the Nutty Professor, that's when he was back over into the triple digits then. He was back in six digits once he started doing the Nutty Professor. And then he did Shrek. That's the only thing that's been able to hold him, keep him here.
Hey, pays the bills.
Oh man, he's got some real clunkers here. Dreamgirls, does Dreamgirls count?
Yeah, Dreamgirls counts. I mean, that's probably the last Eddie Murphy movie, now that you mention it, that I've seen.
Oh man. Yeah.
And he was good.
Okay, well, all right, let's move on. You want to get into our topic?
Sure.
All right, here, wait, what about Netflix? So, what is the story here? Netflix is doing some sort of algorithm to analyze whether users are logged in and they're quickly flagging their shared accounts. What's going on, Bill? Is Big
I don't
Brother.
understand the flagging. Like, what do you mean flagging?
Well, I'm not sure.
I don't know what that means either. Because I understand if you can have 4 different
The system
profiles.
allows the operator to specify how many users should be using a single account, useful for family sharing accounts, for instance. The AI can then monitor a subscriber database for any potential fraudulent activity.
Well, what is potential fraudulent activity?
The AI can determine if the user is using a streaming service in their regular home or at their vacation home, for example. It also can determine if users are sharing their credentials with friend or adult children who no longer live at home. In the case of the latter, these users will be offered a premium account that includes a pre-authorized level of password sharing that can be used between a larger number of people.
Really?
So I'm going to have to share premium because unless your home down in Seabus is now my vacation home, I'm going to have to pay extra.
How much extra?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
I'll be happy to kick in some money.
What's that?
I'll be happy to kick in some bucks.
Yeah. Okay. So also for the news out there, Bill's getting rid of his DC universe. Are you getting rid of
Yeah,
it?
I did. I disconnected it today.
Oh, you did.
I did. Because I'm over it. And I'm going to use that money to buy us a Cinemark movie club membership instead.
Ooh, I like it. So why are you over the DC Universe app?
Because I really didn't have anything on there that I wanted to watch. And Titans didn't really do it for me. So, plus Titans isn't going to be back for like another year. So even if I decided to watch it again, it's not going to be on for another year. And it's on Netflix now.
Okay.
So,
all right, Bill. Our
not enough
topic.
bang for my buck. That's why. Sorry.
Ooh, I'm sorry. I should go over Nadia's email. There's some interesting things here. Superfan Nadia wrote an email. I'd like to just go over some of these things because some of these things are interesting to me. One, Captain Marvel. She says that she heard there's another trailer coming and that she's hoping that Brie Larson makes her like the character like Chris Evans made her fall in love with Captain America before he played the role. Growing up, it was all about the X-Men, primarily Storm for her. I'm the same way with that. I can tell you the Captain Marvel trailer where she's wearing the mohawk and she's turned around with all on fire and shooting the shit out of her hands. That looks really cool to me. But Brie Larson's role of talking, where she's just like, I don't know. What do you think, Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury? I just hope that things go better for me and growing up. With that whole it doesn't sound like authoritative, badass, or militant whatsoever. It's the same role of going, I'm a real badass, but yes, I can also make brownies and cookies in the kitchen and read kid stories to me. Ugh. Ugh.
I don't know why you hate that.
Because I find it to be mutually exclusive. If you're going to be a warrior, then at some point in times you need to be sort of like there's got to be some oomph to you, some sort of like masculinity to you.
Why, when the bitch is using photon torpedo rays to blow up bridges and shit, is that not enough gravitas for you where she's badass enough?
Because when she's sitting in the car, she's sitting there like, I don't know, should I wear the flats or the pumps
That's
over to
not
the
that's not what
social?
she said in the car. That's not what she said. He said, you're a race of alien warriors. And she said, alien hero warriors. That's all.
She said it like this: No, alien hero warriors. That's what I'm a part of. Oh yeah, here I'm ready to go in battle with Captain Marvel. That sounds good. I'm all fired up. Let's go. What do you want me to do? I'm ready to slaughter all these people. Give me the speech.
Well, I think it's important for the females to also embody the hero females, whatever, to also embody being women. Because you can't just have a fucking chick with superpowers who behaves like a dude. Because then it might as well just be a dude. The thing that what women that that Brie Larson brings to it and Gal Gadot bring to it, and to a lesser extent, uh, Scarlett Johansson brings to Black Widow, is a softer side, is a femininity to it that differentiates her from her male brethren.
Here, I can tell you this. I'm fine with you. I'll give you this. Gal Gadot, Scarlett Johansson, even Jennifer Lawrence when she plays in the Hunger Games. Okay, they sell me on being badass females. Who does not sell me on it? Cheyenne Woodley, when she did those like insurgent movies or whatever they're called. I cannot buy Cheyenne Woodley
She's not
doing
in the
anything.
MCU, so she's automatically out. We don't care about her. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just talking actresses. And Brie Larson is yet to be determined for me. She seems so far to be in the mold of Cheyenne Woodley.
Bitch won an
Okay.
Oscar.
That doesn't mean
Okay.
anything. What does that mean?
It means she's got the highest award available to people doing her craft.
So if she won an award for sitting there playing a mother trapped in a room, okay, that's supposed to equate to her being a general on the battlefield, Band of Brothers style. Am I
No,
supposed
it,
to?
it means she's supposed to be a master of her craft. Therefore, she can pull off both.
Okay, there's limitations. There's a reason why we're not having Tom Cruise Jack Reacher because he can't pull off the physicality of the role, Bill. Can't pull
The
it off.
bitch has got photon powers coming out of her wrist. She doesn't need to be built like a brick shithouse because
Pew
one
pew
touch of her finger can melt a nuclear bomb.
pew 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 pew. Okay, it's fine. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if the proof's in the pudding when we go to the movies.
Right.
Superfan Nadia talks Game of Thrones. She's tired of the teaser trailers. She needs a full trailer, and if the first episode does not meet her expectations,
She's out.
she's out.
Really?
She's rolling like me over here. What did I do? I watched the first episode of Deadly Class on Sci-Fi. I'm out.
Yeah, but you're not going to get. Why would you be out after 8 seasons of Game of Thrones?
Oh no no no. I'm not out. I'm watching every single episode,
Right.
and I'm going to be listening to the audiobook. So I'm in.
Wow.
But Game of Thrones has definitely fallen off for me. So I'm hoping that they get their shit together, especially since they hired some directors who were just like, yeah, I don't really care about what the fans thought. I mean, this is the way I did it, or whatever else like that. So I don't know. They're getting loose in the chassis for me over there in that world. I mean, they've brought in too many TV hacks now. That's what's going on, and we're doing the same things that they do on regular network television, and it's fairly apparent for me. But I'm with them. Enough with the teasers. Bring the full trailer on for Game of Thrones. I don't need to see like ice sculptures melting. It's weak.
Wow.
It's fucking weak. There's a Netflix show called Watership Down. It's animated about rabbits. I think it's
Right.
based on some popular books.
Yeah.
You gonna try it out?
I am probably not.
Why not?
I don't think I ever read the books.
You don't have I like to touch you in inappropriate places, John Lasseter helming of the film, so that doesn't make
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, if you really want to get down to the basic reason for me why, then that probably would be it. It doesn't say Pixar or Disney at the top.
You know, I watched a couple trailers for Watership Down, and I did kind of review it to see if I was going to check it out. It is interesting, but then sometimes, I just get in this mood to where I just don't want to watch like animals beating up other animals and people picking. I know it's animation, but they're taking like it's a commentary on society, and for some reason, sometimes that's a little bit more personal to me. So I'm
Why? Do
choosing
you
not
have
to.
animal friends in the woods behind your house that you're
No,
feeding like
no.
cotton
But
corn
it's
or
the same thing,
whatever?
like where you have humans dying, but you're not crying. But then all of a sudden somebody kicks a dog, and then you're just like all outraged and whatever else. It's that type of thing.
Okay, so your love for animals is keeping you from watching an animated show about animals. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, just for this one here, just for
Okay.
this one, it seems a little bit more intense for me, and I just don't know if I'm up for it.
Didn't you watch
Um,
the Saw movies?
yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
cartoony violence. That's a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
Not to mention, once again, we're America, Bill. I'm desensitized to that type of violence.
Okay.
So there's a show on Netflix called Tidying Up. Apparently, it's similar to Hoarders, but not so extreme. You're going to be checking that out.
No, I don't like hoarders. I don't understand that appeal of that show. It
Really?
creeps me all the way the fuck out, and I can't. No. It's just the same with like my 600-pound life or Dr. Pimple Popper. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
I mean, Hoarders, you watch it. It's clearly that the people obviously have a mental issue, a mental disorder that they can't get out of it. And after a while, you're just like, it is hard to watch. I do have to admit, I can maybe watch one episode every 2 months. Um, when it just happens to be on television because it's just too sad. You know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people are like, no, I need to keep that. That's where I go to the bathroom at. They're like, it's a pan. I know. I just take it out and dump it out back. Okay. All right.
Really?
Okay,
So
so
are you
this
going to watch this show?
no, no, but I guess maybe it seems to pop up. But I guess if I might give it an episode. I might turn it on for 5 or 6 minutes. Superfan Nadia's watching it. Maybe I'll give it 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay.
Right now I have Ferg on my lap. He's wearing a diaper, but he's got that old man smell to him.
Is it time for him to get another bath?
Yeah, it's kind of toxic. It's
You know
got
what it smells? The old man smell is crusty piss. That's what that smell is.
this.
Because that's what old men do. They piss on themselves.
That's exactly what's going on right now, and I'm just like, oh, this dog wants to be held, but you're just like, oh, this stink is just too much.
Oh, that's so nasty.
Okay, so this subject comes courtesy of Carlos, superfan Carlos.
Mhm.
He was sending out a text message about greatest movie scenes,
Right.
and he was coming up with a few of his own. He kind of likes the scene from Jaws. Apparently, that guy that Steven Spielberg hired, the guy that was on the boat, like, I'm gonna need to get a bigger boat or whatever else that guy.
Right.
Apparently, he was a drunk. Either way, he mentions that scene. There was a scene from Amadeus, the movie, which I actually watched on Netflix, where Amadeus meets Solari and does this, you know, does this scene where he improves upon his music fairly easy because he's a genius.
Right.
Anyway, that kind of sparked the subject as to what might be some of the greatest scenes. And
So when you say greatest scenes, do we mean favorite scenes or greatest composed scenes?
what is the difference to you?
Favorite scenes are scenes in a movie that make me feel a certain way in the movie. That brings me joy or shocks me or brings or wraps the whole movie up into, if I had to wrap the whole movie up into one scene, that would be the scene and it becomes a favorite movie, then that becomes a favorite scene.
I think that's what I'm going with. What's the second? What was
The
the?
technically composed scene would be, it's just beautiful to look at. The cinematography is perfect.
Oh, I
The
think
acting
somebody
is on
would be
point.
right. That would be a scene like somebody said for like Goodfellas, where the long shot of what's his name walking into the club. It's a long shot walking through the back room of the kitchen into the seats of the club. It's just one long shot, and it
Right.
makes anyway. No, it's the first one.
Okay. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I
I've
got.
got several.
Oh, you do. Oh,
I
that's
do.
good. That's good.
I have like 10.
You may be able to jar me then. You'll be able to just rattle off your 10 because I only probably have a couple here. I think that my number one scene um, has to be Inglorious Bastards. The opening thing with
Too bad the rest of the movie sucks so hard.
Quentin Tarantino, and it's so unfortunate for me because that opening scene is just so fucking tense. I'm on pins and needles, and it's just so well. I mean, Quentin Tarantino, that scene alone,
It's a great scene.
that makes a career for me for him. Um, there's so much talent and so rich. Anyway,
So I have different categories for mine.
oh, I don't know why you have to be such a nerd about it. I mean, I didn't do this category here for you to sit here and wax and wane for like an hour on your shit.
I don't have intention of doing that, but I have three categories. One is general movies, one is M. Night movies, and one is Star Wars.
Oh,
Because if I
oh,
think about it, a lot of the favorite scenes I have from movies are the endings of movies, of certain movies by people who, do the kinds of movies that really strike a chord with me. But I'm just going to start with my first Star Wars movie. My favorite scene in any Star Wars movie is when Han comes to save Luke at the end of A New Hope, when he blasts Darth Vader's TIE fighters out of the sky just as Luke is about to blow up the Death Star. And he's like, now let's blow this thing, kid, and go home. Yeehaw!
you know something? When we watched Star Wars, when we had to watch it before like episode 8 or 9 or whatever we're doing, I have to admit that scene alone, it's one of the few times now I probably wouldn't be surprised the way these directors direct now, but I was surprised. I
Yeah.
was surprised. I wasn't expecting it to happen. But now the way they set it up, and it was so set up so perfectly, I was just like, I didn't see that coming. That's so cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Loved it. Your
Yeah.
turn.
Okay. A scene for me would have to be. It has to. I know I mentioned this before. It has to be The Matrix Reloaded. The scene on
Okay.
the freeway. I know it's a bit of a long scene, but that scene is so perfect for me in so many ways. It is just so technical, and it's just so cool. All the things they do in there is what it's so geeky, from the getting on the motorcycle to flying down the freeway to people jumping to fighting on top of the truck.
You're talking about the freeway fight scene in,
Yeah, that's exactly
yeah,
what I'm.
Matrix. Okay.
An amazing. It's amazing. I'm sorry. So go ahead.
Yeah, it stands out as one of the most
I know.
cinematic
I wish,
car
unfortunately,
chase scenes.
the whole other movie was on that level for me. I know
Right.
we disagree on this, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to go on to my next one. Maybe I'll just give one from each category. Um, I'm sorry, but the end of Split, that is just like a perfect cinematic moment for me. Like I actually like creamed myself in my seat when you're watching this whole movie thinking, okay, this guy's got these multiple personalities and it's interesting, but I'm not really connecting with any of these characters. I don't really have any emotional connection to these because this guy's like really creepy and this girl and these kidnapped girls and whatnot. And then you're like, you get to the end of the movie and you hear this familiar music as Kevin Wendell Crumb or whatever standing in front of that mirror. And it's like, why are they? At first, I thought this is like some kind of cheap shot. Like, there's this, the budget on this movie is so low that they actually have to use recycled music from another movie because they can't come up with their own music. That's where my mind went. And then when they go to the diner and the girls are talking about Mr. Glass, and then Bruce Willis's character goes, they called him Mr. Glass. I was like, oh my God! Holy shit. It's an Unbreakable movie. After waiting like 18 years for Unbreakable to have a sequel, he backdoored us. And in this day and age where everybody's seen everything and all the plots are repeated ad nauseum and everything's a repeat or a reboot or a recycled this or a recycled that, it was so awesome to go into a movie and have genuine, shocking surprise at the end. I just thought it was great. One of the greatest all-time ending scenes of a movie for me ever.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I find it kind of weird that you would even be able to recognize the music like that. I mean, because it's
Oh, the Unbreakable
instrumental.
music. I have the soundtrack. I've played it a zillion times. It's unmistakable. The Unbreakable theme.
Uh-huh.
You would recognize it if I played it for you right now.
I don't think I would.
You would.
All right. So I got to come up with one.
Yeah, you got one more.
Oh, I don't know. There's so many. I've just been scrolling through trying to think of some here. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to go on this one.
Can you not? Do you really not think that the end of Infinity War is probably one of the better scenes, like if you've ever seen in a superhero movie? Talk about ending on a cliffhanger. They killed off every character.
That's an absolute false. That wouldn't even
What?
make the top 100, Bill. It's
Are
so
you kidding me?
no.
You didn't shit yourself at the end of Infinity War when everyone's like dusted?
No. Why? Why would I? The whole point of the movie was him that set it up that if he gets all the gems, he's going to wipe out half the universe.
But they never
That's
did
not.
that.
That's
The
what.
bad guy
Let me
wins.
finish. That's not a surprise. He's letting you know what he's going to do. That's the whole beginning of the movie. I'm going to level the playing field once I get the glove. That's what he did. That's from the whole beginning of the movie. That's not a surprise.
The bad
That's a-
guy
wait,
never wins at the
Yes.
end of the movie. In a major in a major series like this, you're
Oh,
always talking
please.
about how they never go there to American audiences. They never go
No.
there and kill off the
No.
characters.
They're not because two. Let's calm it down and get off the jocks here. Two, they killed off people, but you don't actually even know if they're dead. Okay, that's the other thing. There's no finale to this. You all know that Black Panther is going to be having another movie. We already have a Spider-Man trailer coming out, and we haven't even had Infinity War. Spider-Man was dusted in the movie. Oh,
That's
so I
not
guess he's
really-
alive.
That's not really the actual shocking part about it. Is that they went there, that they dusted off all these characters, and that they
Nobody is sitting here watching it going, they're really dusted. Okay, that's the thing about it is no one's thinking that. No one. If they really dusted the characters, we would all be fucking shocked. We'd all be sitting
I
going,
was
can't
shocked.
believe- they're not dead. They're not dead.
The other issue is even if
I
they're
mean,
not dead,
well, let's hold on. They're not dead, Bill. Black Panther is not dead. So how am I, as a audience member, supposed to take it seriously when I know that Black Panther is not dead?
because the other way to come back from this,
There's nothing to say about that. There's no
yeah,
finale.
there
to it.
is. Yes, there is because it becomes then how will they undo this? That is like the edge of your seat cliffhanger. Is okay, even if you buy into the
How
fact
did
that
they
they're
do
all going to.
this? You're aware that there's a time stone. I mean, you're acting like somehow there's no way we can come back from this. This is something they put themselves in a quandary that
No
we
one
can.
said there's no way. What I'm saying is, and the other issue is, they don't have possession of the time stone. Thanos has the time stone. The bad guy has all the stones. So where do they come? Where would they get the power to come back? That's what's got me on the edge of my seat until we see Endgame. How are they going to undo this?
See, this seems completely ridiculous to me.
Well, okay.
This whole movie's here. You know, it's a bookend. This is the middle of a 2-part movie. Okay, it's almost like having something at the end of the Lord of the Rings where Sauron gets ahead. We know how the movie's going to end. The good guys are going to win. The only way it changes is maybe at the end of the finale of that movie coming up here, Endgame, that when all of a sudden they're like, when the dust clears, how did the chips all fall out? To me, it's almost like you're just giving me 25. I'm going to show you 25% of the movie. Okay. And then at the end of the 25%, it looks like the bad guy is winning. And you're acting like, well, this is crazy. I can't believe this. You know that's not how it all is going to end. And nobody's sitting here going, if at the end of Endgame, if Thanos has won, then color me shocked. But we know how that's not going to.
Why would
You know that the good guys are going to rise up. That's what all the movies are about. You're acting like somehow because the bad guy has the lead, that it's shocking. We know it's not going this way. They're not even close to remotely pulling some sort of Game of Thrones shit here. Okay, they're not
First of
killing
all-
off. So they're not killing off major characters, Black Panther, and nobody's sitting there going, "We're doing Black Panther 2." Ryan Coogler knows we're already setting up filming already. Come on, who's sitting there thinking this?
So I am thinking this. So
Thinking what? These characters, we
thinking
don't know if they're coming
how-
back.
Who? Maybe some of them aren't. I don't know that all of them are. Also, the issue becomes for me, how are they going to undo this? These heroes are in quite the quandary as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know how or what it's going to take to undo what's been done. And it's like the end of Empire Strikes Back. You end with the heroes in the worst possible position they could be in. How are they going to get Han Solo unfrozen from carbonite? It's the same feeling that I get at the end of Infinity War. How can they possibly come back from this? That was my feeling. And I still maintain that feeling, which is why Endgame is my second most anticipated movie of the year, to see exactly how they get out of this. It's not the fact that I don't think they will, it's that how will they?
Okay, well, that's fine for a personal thing, but I don't think that anybody else out there is sitting there going, "That's the greatest movie ending of somehow," because it seems impossible to me because it goes completely against what everybody already knows. It's when Ned Stark was killed at the end of season 1 of Game of Thrones. Everybody was shocked because nobody was just like, "There's no way they're going to kill off this lead character." Okay, and they did. There's no coming back from that. Nobody was sitting there going like, maybe there's going to be some sort of like resurrection potion or whatever else. Nope, he's dead. He's dead. We're
First
not
of
even
all-
we're not even close to that feeling.
It's
We're close.
it's my list.
And now they're introducing the scrolls, so everybody's sitting there going, even the young kids, Superfan Carlos's kid, there's nobody that's shocked going, they're all living in the Soul Stone or something. Because nobody's of the opinion that they really got rid of them or that it's final, because all they know is that if you can get a hold of the Time Stone, then maybe you could correct everything. And they put it out there. When you have the Time Stone, you can go backwards. So you really can't kill anybody off just yet with the Time Stone. So what am I supposed to sit there and think, Bill? I don't cry because I know it's not over yet. Were you crying?
No,
No,
but
you
I told
didn't
you-
cry. The
No.
reason why you didn't cry because you know that's not the end.
And again, it's not about the
not the
fact
end.
that they
No,
can't
it's not the
bring
end.
them back. It's
The
about
second movie is called Endgame. You know it's not the end. It's the end when we get the second movie. That's when you can cry.
okay.
But you're not crying now because you know damn well.
Again, it's not about that they cannot bring them back or that everyone's actually dead. I do believe some characters are not coming back. I don't know if it's from the snap or pre-snap, probably pre-snap, but some of these characters aren't coming back. And the other part of that is, again, how are they going to do it? It doesn't matter that it's more than likely to be resolved in some way. It's a half of a 2-picture deal. I get it.
Were you sitting there when Han Solo was in Carbonite when you were talking about this feeling? I'm calling bullshit on all of this. When you're sitting there going, I don't know how they're going to be able to get Han Solo back out of the
Yeah, I
Carbonite.
was.
And then at the Return of the Jedi, all Leia was sneak in, hit a few buttons, and then he was unthawed. Were you sitting there going like, holy shit? I never saw that coming there. Just
Yeah,
hitting those
I
few
was.
buttons right there. That's just, I didn't know there was like an off switch of turning
Yeah.
off the Carbonite.
See, again for you, it's always about the destination, not about how the arrival gets there. It's about the feeling that you get that your heroes are in grave danger and how can they possibly come back from this. To me,
See, there's a thing about grave danger, and there's no finality to it, okay? Because Han Solo wasn't killed, he was put in carbonite. That's a cliffhanger. I agree with you, but he was not dead. Okay, there's no death at any
Okay.
point in time in this thing here.
Listen, bitch,
There's
it's my
terror.
list. If
Oh,
you don't like my list,
you know what it
make
is?
your own
I
list.
hope your list gets a little bit better than what it is starting
Well,
because you're getting. I'm sorry.
you don't have to like it. It's fine, but it's still my list.
It's
It's
been a
still it
while
is
since
what it
I've
is.
yelled at you, but it's ridiculous. Okay, I'm
Well,
moving on.
that was the last one because I only
Now,
have three.
my opinion. Here's a great scene for me. Return of the King, where the who is the king of Rohan is marshaling his forces up to help defend the people of Minas Tirith. And then he starts riding up and down, sort of in Braveheart style. He starts rallying the troops, and then the horses start riding across the land towards the orcs. Fuck, I get chills. I get chills every
That's his
goddamn
choice.
time that scene. I might have to watch the scene after I get off, after we get off air. I'm gonna have to pull up that scene. I get so sad because the king dies. There's some finality to his death. He dies at the end of that battle, and where his daughter picks up the sword and kills the king. What's
Ring
the
Wraith,
king?
the Witch
The ring
King.
wraith. Yeah, even though it's kind of cheesy, I am no man. It's cheesy, but it works for me. But that whole scene where he's rallying the troops, oh
Theoden.
man, oh yeah. And while I'm at it, the other scene in the Two Towers. I mean, Peter Jackson was on his damn fucking game on this one here.
Are you
It's
talking about Helm's Deep?
Helm's Deep at the end when what's his name? Who's the king?
Theoden.
Theoden. When he's like this, he's like, "Ride out with me, Aragorn. Ride out with me and meet the enemy." And they're like, "Sound the horn!" And they sound the horn, and you're sitting there going like, "Oh, the battle is lost. They've retreated. They've gotten their ass kicked." And all of a sudden, they start riding out like these five guys on this horse in the sea of just it's all's down for them. And all of a sudden, they look up to the north, and I forget who the character is. Gandalf is just like, there he is, the king, and he is alone. And then the other cool dude, I forget who it was. He goes, "The king is not alone. To the king!" Sorry, Scooties.
Wow, really?
And they come out over the edge and they start riding down towards him.
Right.
Oh, oh,
Are you talking about when Gandalf the White arrives?
oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
the scene it's so rich. It's so rich.
Well, I
Those
don't disagree with you. I think
Oh
it's a
man,
great scene.
it pulls out every emotion that I have watching those. It's just amazing for me. Amazing. Anyway,
Well, I
eh,
agree. I don't disagree with that scene at all. It's one of the best scenes in modern cinematic history.
oh, you enjoy that too, then? Oh, that's
Of course.
good.
Well, I'm a fan of the whole story, so yeah.
Oh, okay. But does it hit you like emotionally when they ride out
Yeah,
to save the kings?
absolutely.
Is there out of those three movies here? I'm going to narrow it down for you: Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Outside of those two scenes, is there another one or two scenes in the movies that's very palpable for you?
Yes. There's a lot. There's dozens of them.
Do you have a
But
top couple?
when Sam picks up Frodo and starts carrying Frodo up the mountain because Frodo can't go any further, and
Okay.
then they throw the ring in, and Gollum goes down, is fighting Frodo over the ring, and then he goes into the fire, and all you see is like the ring melting slowly. It's like the last thing after Gollum's like absorbed by the volcano, or whatever. Um, and then the Eagles come and they rescue Frodo and Sam. Yeah, that's a big one for me.
Oh, okay. Because right. Okay.
Because that's like the culmination of the whole story. And then at the end, again, when when Frodo wakes up and all of the Fellowship comes into the room and Gandalf and comes in, and then Sam and him have this like look of like friendship or whatever between them. That's a great scene.
Okay.
Hello.
All right. I'm
Um,
listening.
I mean, there's dozens of them. I love the scene in the Fellowship of the Ring when Arwen has Frodo on the horseback, and she's in the lake, and the ring racer are going to threaten to come across and get him, and she's like, "If you want him, come and claim him." You know, it's that stuff.
Yeah, that was such a sweeping camera thing. Watching those horses just trot across the land towards her. I mean, I feel like with certain directors, I know they each have their own opinion as to what is their best work, but sometimes I look back on those movies. I think Peter Jackson, for me, it was at the top of his game when he did those movies. He was
Yeah,
he
the
was
thing
just
about
like
it is with Peter
it was the
Jackson is that the
culmination of a lot of a perfect events for him. And I don't know how they feel about it, but it's like the Matrix in terms of the Wachowskis. They haven't really done shit ever after that. But for once they were on their game. All you need is one. But go
some of
ahead.
these people are, I hate to say this, but they're like the equivalent of like 80s groups that were like one hit wonders. Peter Jackson did a masterful job of doing the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies, but outside of those stories, where does the talent go? I get confused because I don't understand how somebody who can make such magic appear on screen. Although, he did have he's basically adapting a story. So the bones of the story were basically there for them to just make into a movie. And maybe that's the secret sauce. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But when you get outside of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies, Peter Jackson's work does not thrill me. It does. I've seen his movies. I've seen King Kong. I've not seen all of them, but I've seen The Frighteners. And nothing that he's done outside of those stories has really impressed me.
Okay. I'm a big fan of the Frighteners. I thought it was Zemeckis or somebody else that did that movie. All right, give me another one.
Another scene from a movie that I think is a great scene. Um, I love the Krypton scene from Man of Steel. It's just so otherworldly and so science fictiony, and it's so like not what you expect from what the Superman mythos origin story that we've seen on screen before was like. It was just very different. And my favorite scene within that scene is when Zod comes up to Kara and asks her, where did you send your son? And she says, his name is Cal, and he is beyond your reach. I just love that.
Mm, okay.
She doesn't answer him, but she tells him, you're not getting my son, not today, Satan. So, so I love that.
Nice. Nice. That was in the original Superman?
That was in Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. Okay. Was that line copied in any way from
No,
Superman the original?
that's an
No.
original line from Man of Steel.
He is beyond your reach. That sounds so
His
familiar.
name
Like
is
that would be
Cal.
like an old school movie. Okay. Nice.
It's mythological. It's like
Yeah, no, I get it.
um,
But there's this is kind of old. I'm trying to. All the movies are coming back to me, and I'm trying to think of quintessential scenes that I may have to let this simmer some more. We may have to revisit this again, and you may have to pull out some more. Planet of the Apes, 1968. When obviously he comes across Charlton Heston comes across the Statue of Liberty and realizes that it's Earth and that they blew it up and the apes took over.
mhm.
Um, I feel like that's one of the few times I think now I'm more, if you want to call it woke, aware, but that scene represents to me a time where I was surprised. Like,
This is at the end when they come across the Statue of Liberty on the
yes,
beach. Yeah,
right. You kind of go through this whole movie and then you come up across the hill and then all of a sudden you're just like, you know, I thought maybe they landed on a different planet.
right.
Realize it's that planet, and it represents to me a lot of things like I can be surprised, and I was like, holy shit. Now I'm when we did the remake of that and everything else, they try to twist it up, but it's I didn't see that coming.
Right.
That's what it represents. And I think the last time, it's like with the M Night movie with the Sixth Sense. Much I know that's not one of your favorites, but it's still one of those things where people kept a secret, and I watched the whole movie, and at the end, I was like, I didn't see that coming, and I thought it was kudos to the director for kind of doing a story in a way that you're just like, wow. Now maybe other people saw it, but I just didn't, think about it as I was watching it. Like I just did not connect those two up, and it was. I don't put it down as like one of the greatest scenes for me, but I think I give kudos nowadays to movies that can somehow surprise me, but not in a way that it's all like completely trickster, if that makes sense. But Planet of the
Right.
Apes. Go ahead.
Um, Another all-time favorite scene of mine, and this is probably at the top of my head because I've been having an M Night Shyamalan-a-thon lately. Um, but it always remains. It always has been a very favorite scene of mine. Is the scene when Bruce Willis comes downstairs the morning after he has become the hero and saved those people from the house in Unbreakable, and he comes into the kitchen, and the whole kitchen is green, which is his costume, his cape, his security poncho or whatever is green. And then the little boy sitting across the table from him, and there's just this splash of orange or yellow in his shirt. And Bruce Willis sits down and pushes the newspaper across the table to him. And the boy reads about the story about the guy in the poncho that saved the people, because he spent his whole entire movie like hero worshiping his father, even though his father sort of felt like a loser and wasn't living his best life or whatever. And then he's always thought that his father was a hero. When he finds out it's actually true, and Bruce Willis just nods at him like, yeah, that's me. And you could see the little boy's face just like light up like a Christmas tree. Like, my dad is this guy that I always knew he was. That breaks my heart every time. I fucking love that scene.
Oh, okay.
I just love that scene. That's my favorite scene in that whole movie. And it's just a little quiet moment between that father and that son, but acknowledging, what is actually happening in that story.
Oh, that's a very cool scene,
Yeah.
Bill. I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah, it's so sometimes it's like those real subtle ones. Like
Right.
there's not a lot of said, and you're just like it's just so powerful.
Right.
Um, we're gonna have to revisit this because I'm gonna have to really hard and think because I know there's certain things that have kind of touched me, and I want to get past the general like we all know that's a cool scene and whatever else, but something that really sticks to your ribs. Um, you know, because there could be a scene in every one of your favorite movies that's your favorite that's good.
Right.
Um, but what's excellent? What's something that separates? You have another one.
It's the final one I'll use is from the end of Unbreakable as well, when you realize that the villain of the whole piece has been Elijah all the time, even though you thought he was the mentor. He was the one that ends up being the one that perpetrated all the crimes, and just that shock. That was a twist shock ending for me that worked because I did not see that coming at all. And I thought that this was going to be like the beginning of an adventure between Elijah and David. And then you realize, oh shit, Elijah's been the one that's been the fucking bad guy all this time. Worked for me.
Okay.
So,
I gotcha. Carlos had mentioned a scene from Up. I believe it's probably might be the opening montage. I think
okay.
the first 3 minutes where it kind of sums up his whole life and where he got where he was. The loneliness he feels, but the whole meeting the girl, marrying her, and then being with her and up to his old age and how he becomes alone in the house. I think
Right.
that was a powerful scene. I think for him.
Did you like Up?
I watched it. I don't know if I like the movie. I think I probably would have shed a tear, but I don't know if like, oh God, it's so great. It was good. It's a
Yeah,
good
it's
movie.
not. It's not on my Pixar like collection list. I don't own it,
Why
and
not?
I just didn't work for me. I don't know. I mean, I know it's a much beloved film. It was nominated for Best Picture, not just Best Animated Picture, but Best Picture at the Oscars. Um, it's one of the only, I think, 3 times in history that an animated picture has been nominated for Best Picture, but it just didn't capture me. It didn't speak to me, and I just didn't fall in love with the characters the way I wanted to.
Huh. Okay.
So,
I found it to be something that didn't. I don't want to keep repeating this in terms of sticking to my ribs,
right.
um, but it was enjoyable. Um,
Yeah, I put it in the same category as I do like Ratatouille. There was something just unsavory about Ratatouille. The fact that they had rats running all over the place was really a problem for me. Even though they're animated, it grossed me the fuck out to have all these rats running around the kitchen.
yeah, when you type in like movie scenes, there is a million articles on Google that will show you like list of classic scenes. Like
Right,
Tom Cruise in Risky Business as he skirts across the floor to the music when his parents leave.
right.
Or John Travolta and Uma Thurman dancing in Pulp Fiction. Um, there's a million of them. For whatever popular movie it is, there's probably a scene from it, which is the reason why it's popular. But I guess what I'm trying to do is separate that from those that we are know that they're known for iconic imagery and the ones that are just like that resonate with you. I mean,
Right.
that's what you've been doing. I'm just, you know,
No, I hear you. I mean, you're looking for the un underappreciated gems.
yeah, that I like the one with the Man of Steel for you. Do you
Yeah.
have anything that's older? I know you did um,
Star
something
Wars.
Star
Uh,
Wars
well, yeah, with the Han scene that.
outside of Star Wars.
Gosh,
So
I don't
something
know.
from the '80s, something from the '80s that comes to mind.
I don't
I know I
know.
kind of put you on the spot. We'll have to think about it later. Then I'd like to
Yeah.
kind of go back over this here because I'm thinking of all some of my favorite movies, and I'm thinking there's so many. Um, what's a good scene for me? My last one, then, because I'm now thinking of my favorite movies. Was
Yeah.
Madison County.
Yeah.
It's at the end where they read her like last entry, and where she visits the kids are reading her last entry where she stayed with her husband and she kind of visited the grave of the other guy, and I shed a tear of those last 5 minutes of the movie where like she's sitting in the car and Clint Eastwood is deciding whether he's leaving or staying, and he just goes. I think the way that whole movie ends, it's just very powerful for me. Very powerful.
Well, that's cool. What is the actual storyline of that movie? I've never seen that
The
movie, so I
storyline
don't.
is got a lady in Iowa who's married. She's sort of bored. Clint Eastwood, as a photographer, comes to town, and they sort of just get this connection together.
Oh, so
And
she cheats on her husband?
well, and I think part of it is, later on, looking at this, people have different views on this, which I didn't look at it. I kind of looked at it like a romantic thing, but then essentially it is. She is kind of cheating
Cheating.
on her husband. Yeah, and it depends on where you're at or how you look at things. It's two sides of the
So
coin.
Is it
So
Meryl?
she spends like 4 days with Clint Eastwood, and she she bonds with him, and I think it's a different type of guy that reaches her in a different way. She ends up staying with her husband until he dies, and then she goes out to search for Clint Eastwood, and he's
Really?
also dead. And
This
so
all seems like very sketchy hoe-like behavior. I mean,
And so the kids are reading her books back, and the one son is disappointed that his mom was like some sort of, what do you call it, whorish behavior.
I
A-
mean,
And the daughter is very proud that her mom actually was kind of in this way a different type of woman. And I don't know. But
well, I
there's,
mean, at least she had the decency to wait for her husband to die before she ran for the other piece of dick, right? So I guess that's a
I,
standing quality.
yeah, if you're looking at anyway,
Okay.
the end part where they're reading some of her words and she's trying to justify her experience with this other man, it's just romantic. I
Okay.
find it to be very very touching and very powerful. And obviously Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood, um, you know,
Okay.
what could I
Doesn't
say?
seem like the kind of movie that really you would get into to me, but
Oh, it's so
got a
well
couple
done
of those.
though. The story is so well done. And I mean, you got Eastwood and Meryl Streep in there. It's so well done. Oh my.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have to think on this some more. So I apologize to our fans. You want to move on to Box Office Mojo?
Sure.
For the weekend ending January 11th and 13th of 2019, the number one movie, Upside, in its opening week,
Oh,
nine-
so it made some money. It made some bank.
it made $19 million.
Oh, that's not a lot.
Fuck you and the people who saw that movie. You should see the visuals. This is some sort of bastardized version of it. Whatever. PCP will not be supporting the Upside.
The downside is we're not supporting the upside.
The budget was $37 million. Seems awfully a lot. But I guess if you want Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston in there.
That shit ain't cheap.
Okay. Your next month movie, and its fourth week out, Aquaman, crossing over the 1 billion mark with $1,020 million.
Who would have thought? But this is good news for the DCEU fans.
Congratulations.
You know, when everybody said they should scrap the whole thing and just start over from scratch, looks like that's not really necessary, huh?
What do you think the message is, Bill? Honestly, here. I know what you're going to say is you can't, people zig and they zag and you can't predict anything. Well, there's some sort of thing going on here. I mean,
the thing
you had Batman, Superman, you had Wonder Woman, all in the same movie, and they couldn't crack $1 billion. But then you just take one of them out. Not as popular as Batman or movie, with Jason Momoa, who hasn't had any type of acting job since 1982.
Wow.
And you make him Aquaman, and next thing you know, it's $1 billion. So don't tell me
it means there is value in these DC characters that has gone underappreciated or untapped to the general audiences until Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and therefore the formula can be found. It's not the characters that people don't care about, so that's off the table. They've just got to find the formula that works for the other characters that worked for Wonder Woman and Aquaman, which means apparently Darkness No Parents isn't it. According to what we've seen and what the box office has reported, that's just not the style they want to go with. They want to go with this more fun, action-adventure style.
Okay.
And it seems to have worked for them. Can we please then take the fact that Superman isn't a popular character off the table? It's not Superman. It's the way they're portraying Superman that people haven't embraced yet. And I don't dislike the way they portrayed Superman.
See, you know what? I think you succinctly said that for me. I would agree with you on that. There's value in all the characters, but I agree with you. It's how they're presented. And I think you have to put into the equation that there's expectations for some of these characters that we have. For Spider-Man, you have it for Batman, you have it for Superman. And I think it's easier when you have characters like Deadpool, Guardians, things that are familiar with, that they're able to accept them easier and go on an adventure with them, as opposed to some of these other characters where they want them a certain way or expect things out of them. I think it's a little bit harder for them. When you would think it would be easier for them, it actually turns out to be harder.
It's harder because
I don't necessarily have an expectation for Aquaman or how he's supposed to act or whatever else. I might want to think that I might want it to be a certain way, but Aquaman has never been on the big screen. There's no basis for it. But certainly now that one has been established right now, certainly something will be different. They will go back and be like, well, I liked it better in this version of how they did it. There is nothing to hold it down. You're experiencing it for the first time like everybody else.
Also, they have to have faith and trust in the people that they hire to helm these pictures and where their vision is and where it's going, and not second guess them and not take control away from them and just say, this is the direction this guy is going in, and go with it. Apparently, James Wan was unfettered. I don't think Zack Snyder could say the same. And we see how those turned out.
Okay, I'm not going to turn this into a DC bashing session, but they already had too many executives in the room trying to put their stink on it. It's amazing how this has worked out for them. They had all these people coming in there, cutting down the Justice League movie to 2 hours and this and that and whatever else. We need to do this and that. And next thing you know, Aquaman out of all that group is now made $1 billion.
Right.
I mean, it's I don't know what I would do is sitting around the room and be looking at them going, uh-huh. I would allow them in the room. I would not allow them in the room.
I don't know that they had that choice, but
I know. I would just tell them to shut the fuck up. All right, we're going to do Flash next. And somebody's going to be like this. No, no, no. We need to make it 1 hour and 35 minutes so we can have multiple viewings. And we need to have Apple products shown. And can we get Josh Whedon to come here? Because this is the only way this is going to be successful. Okay. Well, good for them. Good for them, Bill. We'll
yes,
leave for
good
them.
for them. And this means more DCEU. Now, Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, these are not exciting properties, but hopefully they'll be successful enough.
You know, I'm not even excited for the Joker movie.
Yeah, that either. Watch it make $1 billion. Just watch.
Well, you know what? If it makes one, that's fine. I hope at the end of the day I end up liking it. I mean, but I'm not excited for their upcoming projects. It doesn't mean I won't like them once I do see them, but I'm not excited for them.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know where to, making $1 billion. It's great. It sends the message that there's value. There's always been value in the characters, but you really said it right. It's just that how they're being portrayed. There's value in all the characters. What number 3? A Dog's Way Home, $11 million.
Okay.
We saw this trailer in it. We saw the trailer in the theater. Didn't really care for the voice actors. Whatever.
You're a dog person. Doesn't that sort of speak to you?
No, I never saw a Dog's Person. I never saw a Dog's Way Home. I feel like it's purposely playing on your heartstrings.
Right, but I mean, being a dog lover, though, being, you own 2 dogs.
No, the story looks stupid for me. It's with the girl. The girl's voice was irritating. I'm just a dog, and I'm just lost, and I'm just going to make it back home to my owner who loves me. Oh, fuck me.
You don't think Ferg sounds like that? You don't
think they could find a better actress or whatever else to portray the voice? I just sat there. And once again, out of all the people, I feel like it's somebody like the director's daughter or something, or some family friend. But I'm not interested in it. I won't be even closely renting the movie.
Right.
Give me Old Yeller. Don't give me this manufactured heartstring.
Old Yeller.
Everybody else is trying to get a dog movie. Let's just put this out there. I mean, it's Dog's Purpose, A Dog's Way Home, A Dog and His Owner. Fuck that. Number 4, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse pulled in another $9 million in its 5th week of release, bringing its grand total worldwide to $302 million on a $90 million budget. I'm officially a fan of Miles Morales. Work it out.
I know.
Work it out!
I know.
That's okay. Maybe I get a Spider-Verse too. That'd be great.
Oh, you will get a Spider-Verse too. In fact, you may get multiple animated TV series that are spin-offs, and that's true.
What do you mean, Spider-Ham?
Yeah, like maybe the Magnificent Spider-Ham or Spider-Man Noir, or
I don't need any of that shit. I don't need them to. This is where they start to fuck it up, Bill. I don't need any of that. They need to. We're not. I guess this is the Deadpool effect here. Let's do Spider-Ham. Everybody thought he was cool, so let's give him his whole movie. No, maybe give him a Netflix series. Let's not overplay your hand and make the characters deeper than what they're not.
Right.
Number 5 movie in a 2nd week of release, Escape Room. Pulled in another $9 million, bringing its grand total to $34 million, but its budget is $10 million. So kudos for them.
Is this a Blumhouse or Blumhouse production?
It seems like it would be a Blumhouse production, but it's Sony Columbia. It looks interesting though to me. I'm all into those movies like The Cube and like Escape Room, where the people are like, I don't know, I woke up in a special area and then I have to get out. It's sort of like Saw, but more cerebral.
Okay.
Also opening this weekend was Replicas. I believe that's with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
It made $2 million. It was the number 12 movie.
No, was it really?
Yeah.
That's
Number
terrible.
This number 12 movie. People decided to see Escape Room, Mary Poppins Returns, Bumblebee on the basis of sex, which I've fucking never heard of.
That's
The
the
Mule.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie.
Oh, okay.
The
The
biopic.
Mule, Vice, and Bohemian Rhapsody. They've decided to try out all these movies and the other five that we mentioned before going to see Replicas.
Wow. That's gotta hurt.
And it barely beat out If Bill Street Could Talk, which is in its
Just a
fifth week of
limited release of like 2 cities, right? I think it is.
So Replicas will probably be on DVD by the end of February, so we can watch that when it comes out.
Woo! Yeah, I don't know. It has the scent of death on it. Don't know about that. It does.
Yeah, the scent of death. Yeah. Okay. Anything else to add?
I think that's it. Are we coming in at under 2 hours? I think we are.
We are coming in under 2 hours.
Sweet. And we didn't have to stop once, so you don't have to splice anything.
Fuck yeah! Even if it were to fuck up right now, I still would splice it. We're just done. It'll just end like that. All right, Bill. It's been a wonderful show. We've got a great week coming up here. I hope I have a great week at work for me.
Yeah.
Get some matters resolved, so we can have a full glass weekend.
What?
Full glass.
Sweet.
So what's going to be our Saturday movie?
I thought we were
I mean, we're going to be.
splice.
Okay. Ooh, good choice. Good choice.
So we'll
I'll
just
stay
make it
awake.
an M. Night Shyamalan weekend.
I'll stay awake for it.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see.
No, I'm in it to win it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for all our fans. Thanks, Superfly and Nadia, for the email message. It was cool kind of
Absolutely.
reading and getting your thoughts and details. Happy New Year once again to all our fans and the people out there. Be safe. Be careful. And Bill, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right.
Peace out.
See ya.